Hey everybody, it's Coach, and I've got Kreuz here, and we're back. And this is weird. It's been a long time since we've podcasted. I know that and live stream. I was checking the calendar, Kreuz, and the last time we did one of these was July 19th.
Wow, it's crazy because my customers, I have a handful, 10, 15 that watch our podcast, and they're like, they're either asking me, how's the podcast going, or why haven't you guys podcasted? And so I go through the plethora of reasons. You guys with the move, you're with your high school football schedule. I coach soccer. My son plays basketball. We just don't have the time. But now that football's over and it's about to be holiday season, our sports season has slowed down. We still have basketball for 4 weeks, but we get our Saturday mornings back. And I'm happy to be on here with you. And yeah, man, this is a good feeling. I was pretty pumped. Probably part of the reason why I couldn't wake up any later than 6:15 this morning is because I was ready for our podcast. So I'm happy to be back, man.
Yeah, I mean it's been crazy if you think about when. Hang on a second, I'm trying to mess with this thing here. When we didn't pod, the last time we podded, like I said, was the 19th of July. Literally about 2 weeks later, our house in Grass Valley we put up for sale. And the long story of that is that we had 0% chance of moving, and looked at a house. Actually, we're going to drive by a house, just drive by, no reason, drive by it and go, cool house, and then move on. And ended up having an open house, and we went into it and started getting all this feels of like, we gotta, this is a cool house, maybe we need to start figuring out what we want to do. And that night we decided to put our house up for sale, which took about 7 days to actually put a sign up. And that started the craziness of 3 months, basically almost 3 months exactly, to selling our house to buying a house, and all the craziness in between. So when you talk about teaching, coaching football, having Saturday morning practice, and then spending the rest of the weekend like online or actually physically in everybody else's houses as you're looking for a house, not to mention physically moving 2 weeks ago, basically now. And so if you see behind me, there's still boxes and empty walls at the new place. So it's been crazy. I've thought about all the pods we've done and all the stuff and how much stuff we could talk about. There's just too much stuff. But that's good because we have stuff to talk about. So here we go.
Yeah, I want to tell our viewers and our listeners, not only is Coach moving out and selling his old house and searching for a new home, this is all while in the middle of his high school football season, which his Granite Bay Grizzlies had a outstanding season. So I can only imagine. I was stressed out for you being so far away, but I didn't need to be stressed out. But I mean, we talk, actually probably monthly, checking in, seeing how things are going. We talk, weekly and daily about stuff that's going on in our lives. So yeah, I can only imagine the stress that just buying and selling a home brings to the table. Not to mention when it's the busiest time of the year for you and your school, and also your football season. So kudos. I mean, I know you're the kind of guy that's a grinder like me. You grind your way through it, and you guys ended up finding a beautiful home. You sold your home. You had a really successful football season, and yeah, now it brings us back here, which is nice to be. We can see each other's face and talk to our listeners and kind of just go about what we used to do. So this is really exciting for me.
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing, trying to like balance work. I told people close to me in football and my job just like how unfocused I was. I mean, it's hard, like daily, when you're moving and it's like someone's trying to buy your house, and then, oh nope, they don't. They come look at your house, they think it's pretty good, then they ended up not putting an offer on it, and all that back and forth. There was 3 different houses that we put an offer in ourselves. So you're stressed out about, like, will that go through? Why didn't it go through? When it didn't go through, what happened? Not to mention teaching and coaching and then driving, all the driving I have to do. So yeah, I mean, for us to have a good season, the Grizzlies ended up 9-4, and 3 of the teams we played are still playing. So of the 4 losses that we had. So Folsom's going to the state championship, I believe. Pittsburgh is, and St. Mary's, who beat us in the section finals, beat their San Mateo last night, so they're playing as well. So for us to have gotten that far and had a real good chance of being in the NorCal game, it is a pretty good season for us. I mean, you look at the schools that are still in it, they're either a private school or they're either a school that I'm going to use the word recruit, somehow gets a bunch of players that don't live in their boundaries and end up playing for them, however you want to decipher that. But those are the schools that are still playing, either private or schools like that. So for us to have gotten close with our group was good. Got more work to do. And on this note, I don't know if it's officially been announced, but I think I could say it on our pod, but the Granite Bay Grizzlies are going to take on the De La Salle Spartans next year. So
that's a beautiful thing. Yeah, a lot your guys' run. We've talked about our run at Lee, with Windsor and everybody, and you and coaching. We've talked about it a lot. Your guys' run reminds me of ours, and I tell people this all the time. I'm a public school guy. I've been a public school guy my whole life. My son, when it's time for him to go to high school, will be a public school kid. Not for any. I don't think there's anything wrong with going to private school. But the run we had, and I always bring this up to everybody we talk about when it comes back, start talking about our high school team that we had, and that dates back, from when we played together as freshmen all the way through seniors, is that we were able to be that public school in Division I at the time, which was the highest division we could play in, and to win our section, we had to beat 3 private schools to do it. And that's the thing I'm probably most proud about moving forward as a 43-year-old person now, going back and seeing what the private schools do on a annually basis in all sports, not football, baseball, basketball, all of them. It's the thing I'm most proud of our guys, is that we were able to get through this gauntlet of, and we were the number 1 seed, but I don't think anybody that really from the outside that looked in thought we could do it, right? We had to beat Sarah, we beat St. Francis, Sarah, St. Ignatius, back to back to back. And in those games, we were trailing at times. And so teams like us that are public school kids, and you probably think you might fold. And the thing I'm most proud to say, being a CCS championship, and you're a big part of that, we've talked about before, is to be able to get through that on the backside of it, knowing that you can do it. Because I don't know how many times it's been done. I don't know if it's been done in baseball at all, especially at the Division I level, the highest of our divisions that we have here in our section. It's a thing I talk about the most when people talk about. I don't like talking about past stuff. We talk about it on here, but as far as like my normal life, I don't go around telling people what I did for a living or what I did in high school or college or any of that stuff. If it gets brought up, I'll talk about it, but I don't bring it up myself. But in my opinion, 25 years later, it's a thing I'm most proud about to say. Baseball is a team sport. We had a bunch of good guys that played together for a very long time, and we were able to get through that gauntlet of 3 West Catholic schools that probably against St. Francis, probably nobody expected, even though we're like the higher seed, nobody expects us to win that game. And then you have to move on and play another Catholic school. Then you beat them. Then you have to play another Catholic school to win the whole thing. So that's the thing I'm most proud of. So it's something that you guys didn't necessarily win the whole thing, but for you to get to where you're getting and the things that you said about losing to the teams that you've lost to, you can't be anything but proud of your boys. And it's a very, very successful season for you guys.
Yeah, and I think you said something in there that's the a difference than when you played versus now, and that's just playing together for a long time. I mean, let's be honest, the Granite Bay Grizzlies have transfers that come in and play for us, but it's a different kind of situation where other schools seem to go out and hunt those kids down and,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, basically recruit them to come. Um, where our kids are just, if you're going to come play for us, it's like, cool, okay, we're the number one rated academic school in Sacramento, so you're going to come play, you have to deal with the schooling part. You can't just get a free ride of walking around campus because you're good at a sport, that kind of stuff. So we have dudes, but the difference between all that stuff is, like you said, you grow up with kids through junior high and you're playing with them, all that stuff, and it's the same group of guys. That's really just not even a thing anymore
Mm-hmm.
in high school, which is kind of sad. Um, anyway, so yeah, I mean, our season was good. What I like is that the teams that beat us are still playing, so it shows that we were right there. And I'm rooting for the people, especially out of our section. There's at least, I'm going to have this number wrong, at least 3 teams that I know that are playing for state championships. There's more games tonight, I believe, to determine that. So that's good for our section. It shows that we're strong, and so it's
Yeah,
good
what I
stuff.
didn't like what I didn't like about us, and they've changed it since, is for us once we won. I think we went like 20. If you count the playoff wins, I think we went 29-4 our year. Um, Back then, once you won your section, that was it.
Yep.
Now baseball has a NorCal playoff, which is so cool. And even if you get to the championship game of CCS at any division, if you're in the final game, you get to move on and play for NorCal. I would have loved, and we don't have a state championship, and I understand why. It's California baseball schools. We have tons of schools everywhere. I get that, but it would have been nice. I don't even know who won. The other section in Northern California is called NCS, which De La Salle's and all them. It would have been nice to take the Division I winner from our section and play against the Division I winner from that section. Just a 1-game thing, just to kind of see who the best team of Northern California was. And if they've since done that, it would have been nice for us, looking back on it now and seeing all the movement that's happened in high school sports, to see that like kind of come through. Because then we kind of, we had a great season. We think we're the best. If De La Salle won their the NCS, they think they're the best, but we don't get a chance to play. So that's the one thing that I think they've cleaned up, and they've done a much better job, especially for our sport, for my sport in baseball.
Well, it's a longer discussion, but the length of the football season is pretty ridiculous. And in our section, this happened while we were off the pod. They decided that weeks or teams 9 through 16 of the first 3 divisions, Division 1, 2, and 3, weren't going to make the playoffs. They're going to play bowl games. So
Ooh.
what they did was basically they did it during the season, which is weird. So you had teams that thought they might make the playoffs, ended up just playing in the bowl game. And so you have 2 different ways of looking at that. You're kind of upset that you're playing a bowl game, that you're just kind of like you don't get your shot in the playoffs. But what they were trying to do was like not have a low seed play a high seed and get smashed 60-0 in a first round playoff game. And so the bowl games, you ask the people that played in them, they won. The teams that won, these teams won their last game of the season. If you think of like the Outback Bowl or the Holiday Bowl or whatever, those teams, they play their ass off, and when they win the bowl game, they're stoked.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the national championship, but it's there. So for us, it was kind of a milder version of that. Little watered down. There were some like 3-win teams or 2-win teams that were in bowl games, but the section's trying to make their money however they can.
Right.
And then our playoff run was, instead of 4 games, was 3, which was nice. But then they backed that up with the NorCal and the state playoffs. So the football season's super long. But going back to baseball, I know that Granite Bay, not last year, the year before, won the section title. Actually, they won 3 in a row. But the last one they played in a NorCal game, and the game was like after school got out. We were
Yeah.
literally, and they had a game like on graduation day or something, and they missed. I forget how it went down, but it was like to talk about what you're saying of how many games you played and playing that one more game. It's like, man, there's only so many days in the school calendar, and kids. A lot of these kids, especially in football, move on to basketball or something else.
Sure.
And when you're packing, you start in the middle of August now, and here we are. These guys have one more week. They're going to play whatever that is. It'll be like the 12th or 13th of December. And then you have a week off till Christmas, break. And what does everybody do as soon as you come back in January? You're starting all over. I mean, so when can kids be kids? You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's the thing is too for us. And I think you'll agree, like when we went to school, we always started school the Tuesday after Labor Day.
Oh yeah.
Well, we go to Mexico every year, and we keep having to bump our trip forward. Now this year we're going to go in July because Logan, my son, started school 2 years. I mean, he's in second grade, so when he was in first grade, they started like in the middle of August. Well, all of a sudden the school calendar comes out for this year, and we have our trip planned like months in advance, right? Well, now we have to wait before we plan this next trip. We're just gonna go in July. That way it doesn't come into play. But we already had our trip planned. All of a sudden, school calendar comes out. August 6th is day one of school, and we're like, oh shit, we get back on August 5th. We get back on August 5th. So we there's no way we could change it. We flew out of SFO. We got back into SFO on a Wednesday night at 10 p.m., go through customs, go pick up the car. Granted, I live like an hour and a half from SFO, drive back to Hollister. We get home after midnight, right? Because there's nothing we can do about this. We knew what we were up against. It was the way it was. It's the way it was. We got home after midnight. We legitimately brought our bags in the house. We hopped into bed. We woke Logan up for his first day of school. We're tired as all hell. Like 6 hours later, we drop him off at school, get him all there, and then I commute to San Jose and go back to work. So what I'm saying is, like, the especially now, because the school year starts so early, and which means they get out earlier too, right? So for baseball, essentially, that season has to be done by a certain amount of time because you have graduations, you have summer starting because these kids get out. So I think we would used to get out like in the middle of June. Does that sound right?
Right.
Now they get out I feel like they get out in May, like sometime in May, maybe. I don't know. So that's exactly the reason why it's a scheduling conflict, and I get it. But I also seems like my son has like every other week off of school. It's weird to me. Like these guys.
Well, that's part of it, is the way because the teachers control that schedule. But the thing is that it's like, you talk about safety and a fall, like football being a fall sport. It's like a summer sport. I mean, most of our practice now, granted, we had a mild-ish summer this year, luckily, but man, it cooks you on one end and then it's freezing on the other. And if you get to go long enough. But there were seasons where I finished as a JV football coach, we'd end like right around Halloween, week 10.
Yeah.
And I'm still in short sleeves, and it's like it never cooled off. And like, what are we doing here? That's not football weather. Right. And so I'm all for bowl games, like for everybody. You talk about you're playing one game after you win the section or whatever. Like, let's play you win your league, you're the top seed, however they determine that, in the whole entire section, whatever, and you go play the number one seed in a different section one time. Or maybe in baseball you do like a 3 game series or something, and your season's over. Like, I mean, and granted, it's not the best way of thinking about it. People want to have these playoff games and make more money or whatever, but kids need a break. adults need let's end the season. Like, let's get kids, let's
Right.
play one game and then have your kids, everybody go to basketball and do a similar thing there. I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
think it'll happen.
I think you hit it on the nail on the head, because one of our the best athlete I've ever seen, you know him well, is Antoine Guidry, and he played football and he played basketball and then he played track. I'm not really too concerned about his track stuff because it wasn't a part of what I did, but we had some pretty successful seasons at Lee in football, and Antoine's a extremely good athlete and extremely a big part of our basketball season. But we're like 6 games in, and
Right.
Antoine Guidry is still playing in CCS. So I get why they do it. And same thing goes for us. Like, we made it to the CCS semifinals in basketball my junior year, the year you coached us, and so we're into our baseball season. Like, you
Right.
can go out there and play catch and work out and blah 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 blah. Meanwhile, these guys, granted, I played baseball year round, so it was a little different for me, but like the ordinary guy that's playing hoops and is going into his baseball season, like, it's the season. If you get deep into that CCS playoff run in basketball, it affects the baseball season like
Right.
big time. So I understand, because these seasons overlap, and you have kids that play multiple sports, which I want every kid to play multiple sports. I'm all for it. But because of the way the scheduling is for school, it affects sports and how they run. So
Yeah. And our school, we're a 4x4, a semester schedule. So what's crazy about what we do is from Labor Day to basically Thanksgiving break, we have the week off for Thanksgiving, but we don't have a single, you talk about like having days off and fall breaks and these other things. We don't get that. And
mhm.
so I think part of that is what makes us, really good, because the kids are in school so much. And a lot of kids at our place don't miss school because you can't
Mhm.
miss or you're going to get behind. And it
Right.
kind of has a collegey feel. But then you get the Thanksgiving break. Like I said, we get the week off, and then you're really 2.5 weeks till finals.
Mm.
Here we just finished one of those weeks, so we're a week and a half from finals, and then we're done. So it kind of speeds up at the end of the semester, and then we get a whole new batch of kids,
Right.
which is cool. I mean, I like my group right now, but like it's cool to get a new batch the next year. So, hey, changing gears, we haven't talked about this, but how's the fog been down?
It's well, for us. I work days, so that's good. But then on Saturday night, like tonight, I work, and so as
Uh-oh, you cut out. I think it was the fog that
You hear
got
me?
him.
There we go.
Yeah, I got
Sorry.
you. You're in and out, and
You
you're,
back?
yeah,
Uh-oh. What's
I
going
got
on here?
you. I see you.
Uh-oh.
Let me mute you.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, here we go. Sorry, I gotta. Are you back?
I think I'm back. You back?
What's going on? Hello, hello.
I see you. Hello.
Shit. Uh-oh.
I think I think the fog got you.
Oh. I'm
Jump out
here,
and
but I can't hear anything.
that's weird. Let me remove you from the system. I might have to send you the link again.
Brad, you there?
I am. Do you see me?
Shoot. Hold on a second. Let me do this.
Okay, I'm gonna jump out and I'm gonna invite him back in. Let's see if this works. Give me a second. Streamers. Okay. Let's see if he comes back. You back?
I'm back. I don't know. Sorry, I don't know what happened. I got a phone call, and I think that messes up sometimes. Anyway, I forget what I was even saying.
Fog. We were talking about fog.
Oh, fog. So I work Saturday nights, and when I walk out of the bar, if it is foggy in Campbell, I know I'm in for a real treat getting home. So I take 101 south, and then I take Highway 25 into Hollister, and we get what's called the Thule fog. They call it out here. I don't know what that exactly means. But you can't really see much in front of you. So you're kind of sort of driving on the lines, and it's a one-lane road with a lot of big rigs that are going the opposite direction. So you just have to be sort of careful. And it's kind of intermittent. It'll be foggy for a mile or two, and then all of a sudden you can see, and then all of a sudden you can't see again. So you just kind of have to be on high alert when you're driving home. It hasn't been too terribly bad yet, but we really haven't had that bad of weather yet, so it's going to get worse before it gets better. And I have a brand new truck, but I don't commute with it. So I have a commuter car that I use, and it's an older car, but it's a great car. So you just have to be kind of on high alert. It's kind of like as I'm driving down 101 going southbound, you kind of go in and out of fog the whole way home. I've been doing it for so long now that it doesn't really affect me all that much because I'm kind of sort of used to it, but you just kind of have to be ready for it. And it's 3:00 in the morning on a Saturday, so it's very hit or miss when it comes to this time of year for me.
That's crazy. I thought it'd be a little bit more. Up here, I'm in Colfax now, and the fog line, I'm at like almost 2,200 elevation, 2,200 feet, and it's been like perfectly sunny, barely any fog. You get in the car and you drive down 80 going west, and you get into Auburn and you see it's just like a massive wave, like one of those sandstorms in like Qatar or somewhere that you see on those movies. It's just this huge wave of fog, and then you drive into it, and it goes from like perfectly sunny to your headlights being on. And actually yesterday it was so foggy that I had to use like my windshield wipers every once in a while because it was kind of like getting everything wet a little bit. So it's been kind of crazy. I don't think it's going away because next week up here, believe it or not, it's in like the mid 60s in Colfax. It's like unseasonably like super nice. But down at work, it's like 55, in Roseville, 53. So I just know that's going to be foggy because if it's not warming up down there, it's definitely not getting the sun. So it's been crazy. I mean, this happens, but it doesn't happen like prolonged. This has been like a month at least. I just think it's because they know nothing about weather, but this, there hasn't been any storms coming through pushing stuff away, right? So it's like
right.
You're just getting stuck with what it is. So
yeah, we got hammered with rain. I'm sure you guys did too. Like for about a week, we got a lot of. See, the problem is we need water, right? We all need water. You guys need water. Everybody needs water, but not all at one time, right? And so we've only gotten water for like a period of like 5 or 6 days. But when we got it, it was gnarly. I mean, we got a lot of rain, but since then, we've gotten nothing. It's been sort of cold here. I woke up the other morning. For us, I say cold. For people that are listening and are not around our area, it was like 37 degrees in the morning, which for us is pretty cold this time of year. And the high has been like in the 50s and 60s. But like if you go out during the afternoon here and it's sunny out, it's like in the low 60s, like you were saying, 63, 64. We're still playing golf on Mondays. The problem is when it's kind of a tale of two things. We generally play around 9 in the morning. And at 9 in the morning, it's like in the 40s. It's cold for a golfer. I'm a kind of a fair weather golfer. But then by the time the ninth, you make the turn, you're on 10T, and now your jacket's off, you're wearing shorts, and it's 65 degrees. So it's kind of strange in that way.
Yeah, it's been wild, and not having any storms come through. I know that I'm not a big skier, but I pay attention to like the snowpack and all that stuff. And you're just not hearing anything about people driving up to the snow, or because there is none. So hopefully something breaks. I know that maybe next weekend it's supposed to do something, but I don't know how cold it'll be to actually generate a ton of snow. But here's hoping that it comes down to before Christmas break so everyone can get up there and do their thing. So moving into other stuff we used to talk about. I remember I was looking at the banners I used to pop up here, and they were still up from when we potted last, and a lot of it was talking about the upcoming 49ers season and different topics we had talked about. And then here we are, it's their bye week, which is super late in the season, week 14. That's how long it's been since we've potted. But give me like a breakdown of the season and highs and lows and highs and what's left, and what do you think? What do you think about us?
Obviously devastating losing Bosa, and then we were watching it. We watched the game. A friend of mine has just bought a 98-inch TV, which is amazing.
They're huge,
and he has it up on it. He has this nook in his living room, and he's got a sound bar. And then his old TV was a 75-inch TV, and so we prop it up to the left of the TV that's on the wall for football on Sunday. So we have the red zone channel on the left, and then the Niner game dead ahead. And so I've been going. I mean, there's a couple games we've missed because we've been out of town and stuff like that. But for the most part, we've been. We were at his house, and I see a guy. This is after the whole Bosa injury. And I see a guy down, and I'm thinking to myself, please, please, please do not let that be Fred Warner. But knowing Fred Warner, he's always around the ball, like always around the ball. And I see a 4, and I'm like, oh no, it's Fred. And so,
I saw his leg do it on the play live. And I'm like,
oh yeah,
oh shit, he broke his leg. I knew it before. Yeah. I'm like, God damn it. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, I think I think we've talked about this before. The importance of having a good backup quarterback, we found out this year. I think we found out actually when we lost to Philadelphia in the NFC Championship game 2 years ago, when we couldn't even physically snap the ball to a quarterback. We were thinking about putting McCaffrey back there and just, running him at quarterback. Mac Jones stepped in and did an amazing job for us. He kept us in it. Right when we lost Fred, and then when we lost Bosa and we lost Fred, those 3 or 4 games, and we won a couple of those games. I think against Houston was the game. It was almost unwatchable for me.
Right.
But moving forward now, getting Purdy back, and he looks healthy to me. Our defense is playing hard, and they're finding ways to get to the quarterback. Huff's back now. Cleveland Farrell, God, shout out Cleveland Farrell. He knows our system, and we got him back. And I don't know what happened to him, but he looks like the first round pick that he was when he got drafted by I think it was the Raiders that picked him initially. I went from 3 weeks ago saying, I think we're going to make the playoffs, and I think the first game we play, we're going to lose. Fast forward after watching the Cleveland game and the couple games before, and the Carolina game was a good one too. This defense is hungry, man, and they're getting to the quarterback a lot more. We're forcing turnovers, there are 2 things for us to be successful for me on defense, no matter who's playing. If you got to get to the quarterback and you got to force turnovers, and we weren't doing either one of those things 4 weeks ago, and now the Jair Brown had the 2 picks against Carolina. You got Cleveland Farrell in there getting to the quarterback. You got Huff in there getting to the quarterback. You got Malik Mustafa, who is one of my favorite players to watch, but he's one of my least favorite players to watch because of how many times he goes for the hit and just completely whiffs on the guy instead of wrapping him up.
Right.
He's been better the last couple of weeks. After the Cleveland game, and then when the Rams lost to Carolina in Carolina, now you got to start thinking about winning the division again. With our schedule, we have 4 games left. You got Titans at Colts on Monday night, at home versus the Bears, and then you got Seattle the last game of the year. If you can go 3-1 in those games, and that one is not a loss to the Seahawks on the last game of the year, you're going to be right there. And I love the way our offense is playing. Not having Ayuk doesn't really seem to matter right now with all that bullshit and all that noise that we got tricked into re-signing. The guys they're ready to play. CMC has been. I read some stat that he's got more first downs than nobody's even close. The second person in the NFL who's gotten the most first downs. And for obviously we've said this in the past. For us to be successful, CMC needs to be on the field. So I'm pretty optimistic at this current day. We're December 6th. I think it's a great time for us to have a bye, and then you got to come out next week and play against the Tennessee team that's just looking to get beat at home and get ready for that Monday night game in Indy.
Yeah, the schedule's pretty brutal. I mean, who thought the Bears would be any good, and here they are. That Seattle game could be for like the number 1 seed. I mean, so they've been winning tight ball games against teams I think they should beat like more handily, but with their roster the way it is, not having, I sometimes look at their defense and think it's like a preseason game with some of those guys. But they're playing hard. They can't just be a preseason guy. They've got to step up and take that, all that comes to them on. So I think after this Titans game here next weekend, those last 3 are kind of quasi playoff games. I mean, if you think about it, there's 2 potential NFC playoff teams that you could face at some point in the playoffs. And then, are the Colts Super Bowl worthy? Potentially, maybe. I mean, the AFC isn't actually as dominant, it seems like, as it has been over there for a while. So who knows? But I don't know. I think that we're missing some pieces still. I think the receiving core is one, and the O-line, all the stuff we talked about. It's going to, for the depth of the playoff run that they could end up having. I mean, I just feel it's going to be like those old Giants teams, the torture. If we're winning games, it's going to be close. Yeah. It might be ugly, but especially if you're winning the playoff game, it doesn't matter how you do it, you won the game. So
yeah, we talk about this a lot over the last 3 or 4 years, and it bothers us to death is how bad our special teams is. And I think that's like the strength of our team. We traded for Sky Moore from the Chiefs, and when he came over, I remember him. He seemed like a gadgety, fast returner. And then the first 7 weeks of our season, I was talking to my buddy Martine, he's the one I watch football with. And I'm like, why did we trade for this guy? He just catches the ball and falls. But fast forward now, week 13 last week, and now you're starting to see the returns, right? And our kicking game, Piñeiro's been great, and then you bring in Matt Gay for the last 2 games. He didn't miss a kick. The things that were really hurting us in years past seem to be becoming a bit of a strength. And we talk about this all the time with the Niners, is I physically can't watch our special teams in years past. And now it's okay, hold on a second, especially on kickoffs, utilizing Brian Robinson and Sky Moore kickoff return. I think that's so intelligent. It's a way to get Brian Robinson on the field. You can't really kick away from Sky Moore and kick it to Robinson because he can do it to you too. And then the punt return game, we've had some big punt returns to give us some short fields. I think at one point last week, there was a point in the game. They always do this in the third quarter. It'll show the team you're playing against, average start position.
Yeah, where you started, right.
Yeah, and the Browns were on their own 21, and we were on our own 43. So you want to score points, get short fields, and let your team play with the weapons we have. That's the way to do it. And I think our special teams has been a key factor in our success moving forward.
Well, it goes to show you how pissed off everybody was with Moody kicking the ball, or how scared you were. It was like flip a coin with that guy. And then now you just, everybody feels confident when your kicker's drilling everything. I mean, it's like hey, we're in field goal range. Hey, we're getting points. It's like, and I think that, the team feels that. I guarantee you that they feel that. I guarantee you they felt unsure. I think that's part of the reason they got rid of Moody, besides him not being very good, was like, man, we work our ass off to get in that spot. Just to get 3 sometimes. We can't get 7, and we can't count on you. That's why people get cut, and it just happens. But how many times, how many games just come down to a field goal here and points there, and like, you can't leave points on the field by missing kicks. And I agree with you. Special teams has been better. They just did some write up somewhere. I didn't read the article on the special teams coach. Kind of, early on, there was a little bit of, especially the kickoff teams, like the punt team. They were giving up yards and whatnot. But the comeback has been delicious, as they say. You disappeared. I think I can still hear
I'm
you.
back.
Okay.
Yeah, my dad has. We've talked to my dad. He's on dialysis, and he's had a tough time breathing this week. So we're deciding if he's going to the emergency room or not. And he's calling, but he's okay.
Kind of important that.
We'll get him back in 18 minutes. But yeah, I also that's a true story. The one thing I will say that we don't do, and you would be better than this than me. I would love to see us go like shotgun, 2-back set, not with Juszczyk and CMC, but with Robinson and CMC. I know we don't really do that much. I'm not sure what that would really create, but like the fake run game to Robinson and throw CMC in the flat. I think it opens up Kittle on one side. I wish we would do something like that. And we don't do too many. If we do 2-back sets, it's mainly with Juszczyk for blocking purposes and to get CMC kind of free in the flat. I'll tell you what, another thing I watched, and it was really big last week, was, Myles Garrett's having one of the best, if not the best, defensive end year of any person on the planet. How well we handled him, and you don't really realize how good of a player George Kittle is, because you see him. We all know he's a good receiver, and we talk about, a lot of people talk about his blocking. But I watched him like on multiple series, how we just threw him in motion on Myles Garrett's side, and he would chip him, right? Which you need to chip a guy like Myles Garrett, and then he would be able to continue on and go in a route and catch balls. Like, that is a really unique skill to be able to do. You're either a blocking tight end or a receiving tight end. The reason why he is possibly the best tight end in the game is his ability to do both, and on the same play be able to do both. And I think that's really, you could extend on what I'm talking about.
No, I think him doing that's a good skill set for him, but I thought they did a pretty good job. I mean, Myles Garrett took it to Trent Williams a couple times too. I mean, their O-line is, I think Shanahan understands what he's getting out of those guys. So he's not having Purdy hold the ball maybe as long. They're throwing a lot. That's why CMC's getting the ball a lot. I think he leak him out. You could throw it to him. And the run game has come around a little bit. It's just, I think they're squeezing as much out of this orange, getting as much juice as possible out of it. Is it enough? I mean, I just don't know. There's really good teams out there, and I don't like, how we played against the Rams last time. I know we're depleted, but there's going to be a part of this where nobody cares about your injuries, and it's playoff time, and you can't.
Yeah, that was like, it was funny. We were in Paso Robles for the Rams game, and we beat the Rams on a short week at SoFi. We're banged up, no doubt, but then we get them at home, and being a sports gambler, we're at home and we're 6.5 point underdog after we've already beat them at their place.
Right.
And I'm like, oh shit, here it comes. And I knew it was going to happen. and we made it close a couple times, but the game ended up still getting away from us in the end. You're going to have and I think what you said it best. We, after the Tennessee game, can't overlook that game. They're still NFL players, all that good stuff. We have tough time with running quarterbacks. We all know that. Win the Tennessee game. It's obviously a winnable game. After a bye, you're going to be more healthy. But then you get into those last three games. You got at Indy, home, at Indy, Chicago at home. Those are both nationally televised games. One's a Monday night game. One's a Sunday night game, I believe. And then you got the all hands on deck for the Week 18 game against Seattle. It's going to really, you're going to find out. We are going to find out, and we'll talk about it more in the weeks coming, where we stand. I mean, Indy has been really, really good this year. Great run offense. Chicago's been kind of a shocker to everyone, and I think they might really come back a little bit to life, but they're a playoff team. And then you got the division game at home for potentially not only the division, but a bye in the first round of the playoffs. So I think the good news is, good or bad, we're going to find out who we are in the next 4 weeks. And that's kind of what you want going into the playoffs. You're playing against 3 playoff teams before the playoffs even starts. Now, sometimes that's a really, really good thing to do because, like you said, those are not not because they're just playoff teams, but for where we stand in our division and in the NFC. It's going to be to see where you stand and to prove it to other people that maybe we're better than people are talking about. They do like these top 10. I watched Colin Cowherd, and he does it's called a herd hierarchy, and it's a top 10 teams, and it rotates every week. And he doesn't have the Niners in there. And he has some teams that I think, not only because I'm a Niner fan, but I'm a realist too. There's some teams ahead of us that I think we're better than. And so now we get to go prove that point in the next 4 weeks. And that's exactly what you want if you're the Niners. People are kind of down you because you're injured. Well, here we go. We kind of got the bye at the right time for us. Juszczyk got banged up and broke a rib or two or something last week. You give him 2 weeks to get recouped from that injury, and then you play the game you're supposed to. You got to win. First things first, you got to win the game you have to win, and that's next week against Tennessee. But then once you win that game, those last 3 weeks will get you set up for exactly what you are going to be for the playoffs moving forward, and I think that's really important for us.
Well, and the other piece is 3 of the 4 at home. So, I mean, you're setting it up where you don't have real excuses for anything. I mean, you're late by, so you're getting healthy. You play a teams coming out of that. It's not very good. Should beat them. And then, like you said, it's basically, I don't know if you've put it in their mind that the playoffs technically start at that time, because you're probably making the playoffs, but like you said, definitely could see how you match up, and it's a chance for you to kind of show off. Like you come out and blow the doors off Indianapolis, well,
that's the deal. They were showing like all the playoff teams from the AFC and NFC, and it's been very AFC heavy forever. Well, now you're looking at a spot where potentially you don't have Mahomes in the playoffs, right? They essentially have to win out. Lamar Jackson might not be in the playoffs. Josh Allen, they may not even win their division. They're going to be on the road the whole time. So, and then you flip it and you look at the NFC, and we're in the playoffs, but we're only 1 game from being out of the playoffs. So if we go out and stink this thing up and go 1-3, there's a chance we don't make the playoffs and we have 10 wins. So it's perfect because it's exactly what I said. It's going to be a proving ground for us to see A, who we are, and B, where we stand. And then in the end, the craziest thing about it is you could be the 1 seed or you could be the 7 seed. And that's what it's going to be like. And you got like a team like Detroit. If you watch Detroit play on Thursday night, that I don't care who you are, that's a playoff team. And they might miss the playoffs in the NFC. It's like mind-boggling to me with all that talent. I love watching Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs I watched him in college too. He is such a stud. He's so hard to contain. Kind of like I always watch him play. I'm like, he's like the newer version of McCaffrey to me. McCaffrey still has that shake and ability to get first downs, but he can't really run away from you anymore, although he's still pretty quick. Jahmyr Gibbs, when he gets out in the open and he beats the safety, it's night time. You're not catching him. So, I mean, the NFC is loaded, and it's cool because it's a lot of new faces, right? A lot of what Drake May's doing in New England is incredible. What the Broncos are doing with Bo Nix is really, really good. And to think in my mind that there's a possibility that Lamar Jackson and Mahomes won't be in the playoffs at the same time is pretty hard to believe, and it's kind of cool to believe, and it just shows the strength of the NFC so far this year, and all the younger guys coming into their second and third year, like really making an impact on their teams and their franchises. It's kind of sort of flipped, so it's kind of cool.
Hey, last segment, I guess, if we're trying to keep it at an hour or so. We were, like we said at the start, out. Last pod was the 19th of July, and college football hadn't even started. So I don't know how much you're paying attention to it, but I know that there's a massive one today, 1 versus 2, Ohio State and Indiana. Again, I've been so busy that, I've obviously paid attention. I kind of know who's in the top, but I haven't really watched. I can't really pick one or the other, but my big thing with Indiana is just being forever a basketball school and absolutely being one of the worst football programs in the country to, potentially being the number 1 team in America, and just what they're doing. It's not necessarily an underdog thing. It's just good coaching and players working their ass off. So that's going to be a game I watch it. And I'm not a big Ohio State fan, so anybody who plays them, I'm rooting for. So I think I'm going to prop myself in front of my big new 75-inch TV that I bought. I considered the 98, but I think that would have been a little bit too much. But I digress. And watching this game, and I think it's, here's something to think about. With this playoff deal, are conference championship games like worth it anymore? Do you know what I mean? Like
No, especially in this instance. I think the only thing that matters in this, because both these teams are going to make it to the playoff, obviously. The only thing that matters, it really doesn't matter for Ohio State. It matters for Indiana, though, right? If you go into any, I think they're playing at the RCA Dome in Indy, or they call it Lucas Oil. Lucas Oil is what they call it now. Indoor game. It's time to prove yourself and see where you stand to a team like Ohio State. I don't know. If you look on history of what happens, generally speaking, Ohio State blows out Indiana tonight. I hope that's not the case. I think Indiana's probably better than I've seen them play a few times. I think they're better than I think they are. But now, can you go into a game like this to where it matters more for you than it does the other team, right? Ohio State's coming off being national champion. They haven't lost a game. They look pretty buttoned up. They've had a great season. Can you, as Indiana, go into that game tonight and potentially win it and keep it close and not let it get away from you? And so, when it comes to winning the Big Ten championship, I don't think it means a lot for Ohio State. I think Ohio State probably thinks they're going to go into that game and roll pretty easily. So I would like to see Indiana be in the mix late in that game with the potential of winning that game to put some kind of fear into Ohio State. Like, okay, maybe you guys aren't going to just roll through this thing and just pound everybody. Ohio State's had a really good year, but so has Indiana. So that's a game I start work at 6, so it'll be an hour into that thing. But that's a game I'm going to put my close eyes on. I want to see Indiana win that game, so I just don't know if it's possible.
What do you think since we're talking about that, the whole Miami Notre Dame situation where they're the same record, all that stuff?
Yeah, I hate it. I'll tell you what I don't like. I don't like how, and I was talking with a buddy about this. No matter what, remember when it was the BCS, it was like a computerized thing, and they spit out 2 teams, and they just played for the national championship, and the rest were just bowl games. Everybody complained. Well, then they switched it. Now everybody complains. So there's no real way to make it completely perfect. I do not like the fact that Notre Dame, and they're not in a conference, so they don't play for a conference championship. So where you stand now is who you are. And then there's this I was watching this deal about Texas, right? Texas is 9-3. Well, instead of playing Louisiana Monroe game 1, they went to the shoe and played Ohio State and game one and had a chance to win the game. So now are they going to get penalized for playing Ohio State in the first game? Because if they were a 10-win team where they sit, they probably get in, and I think they should be in. But I think they might find their way out of it because of that game, and so it's kind of hard. How do you schedule? And they were talking to Sarkisian. He's like, if we don't get in because they're the teams they just beat recently, and the teams that they've played, and they beat like I think 3 of the teams that are going to make the top 12. If we don't get in, then I'm going to have to adjust who I play. And if that's what they want me to do, and we don't get in the top 12, then that's what I'm going to do, because I know we're one of the best 12 teams. We've proven it over the last 7 or 8 weeks. Arch Manning's been a lot better. But because I chose to go to Ohio State game one, play a tight game and lose, now it's going to cost me getting into the playoff. And so I think that's kind of the interesting thing.
And what you're talking about is so predictable from having 4 teams or however they have been doing it over the years.
Right.
It's all like you could have 25 teams in a playoff, and somebody's going to be arguing who's 27 should be 24. So I just don't know obviously they don't know the answer too, because I think they at least they're trying to get this right somehow. I just don't know how you do it because of what you said. Really, it's the start of the year and they lose, by not that many points. How good are you at the end of the year? And does that matter that you got a little bit better? Obviously, it doesn't if you're not going to consider a close loss to the number 1 team, and you've lost a couple games along the way, but you're playing better. But that doesn't matter because you lost in week 1. It's like, how do you prove that you're better on that big stage? I don't know.
Yeah, it's like I always say, like, because it's you get a group of these old dudes that are on this committee, and you're putting it in their hands to determine who the best 12 teams are. I always take the committee. The committee to me is like, I always put everything in the baseball terms because I'm a baseball guy. Like, the writers get to vote on who goes to the Hall of Fame. What does a writer know more? Why don't you ask the players or the coaches who the best players are, and ask them? I don't know if I can. I'm not technical. I'm so technologically challenged. But couldn't you take all this info from every single D1 college and let AI decide who is the best 12 teams? I don't know. Is it possible? I'm sure it probably is possible. And if you did that, I would like to see what AI comes up with and what these 12 committee members come up with, and see how close they are. That's what I'd like to see. I'm not sure if it's even possible.
Well, no, that's a good way of thinking about how to do that. But I just think that human factor, like I think comes into play with what I said. Kids get better over the season. They don't, they can't. They might take all your points and all the metrics and the math, and you look at it, but like, who's passing the eyeball test that AI can't see? Like, you watch an NFL game, and like you said with the Rams, I get why the Rams were, favored at home. Like, they were freaking rolling, and the Niners were the Niners, and they had Niners beat them before, and their record was maybe the same or a little bit better. And it's like, how could you put the Rams, as a 6-point favorite? And it's like, just look at them. Look at what they're doing to people. And so that's to me, in the college aspect of it, you take records, but like, who's rolling? I think you'll watch games today and go, damn, so-and-so's really friggin' good. Like, and so the computers don't take that into account. That's why you should have some coaches on that, like a Saban or some of these other guys that aren't coaching anymore, and have them explain that to people. Like, these people have the look and the math. Maybe, well, I don't know, but I don't know how you do it, because it's so razor thin on some things, and then you're going to piss somebody off because they're going to be left out. And I don't know the answer.
Right.
I don't know if adding more teams to a playoff is the fix, because now you're fixing that part, but you're not now you're going to have another layer of people left out at the back end of it. Plus, what is a playoff when you know, like basketball, it's 64 teams in there. It whittles down to one. It's like you're just having games to have games and make money now. It's like there's 64 teams. The NCAA basketball thing could be like a 16 game tournament, and
yeah, it's actually 60. It's actually 68 games. There's
right.
2 playing games. It's 68 team tournament now, and that's what it's all about. Money. They're trying to raise more money and create more revenue. Yeah. I mean, the answer is there's no perfect answer, and that's why we're here on our platform to talk about it, just giving our opinions about it. I just, like I said, out of all the games, I think the Alabama Georgia game will be good. I'm not as interested in that game, but the Indiana Ohio State game, I think it's going to get a large audience tonight because of all the Ohio State fans and how good they've been, and I think a lot of people want to see how good this Hoosier team is, and I'm hoping that they're as good as I think they are. So we'll check it out tonight at 5:00.
Yeah, I'm excited to sit down. There's not many days moving in. Obviously, when you move into a house and it doesn't just become like where you sit down and do nothing. It's 4.5 acres of property now, so I've got to actually go take care of some of that stuff right now, and then maybe I'll be able to sit down and enjoy some of these games. But it's been too long that we've missed each other and missed the pod, but hopefully we can get more consistent again and get this going and have some good stuff to talk about.
I just have one final thought before we break. I've said it 97 times in our 12 or 20 podcasts. Who is leading the NFL in touchdowns, Brad?
Who is?
Davante Adams. Davante Adams has 15 touchdowns, and he went to Palo Alto High School and Fresno State, and we offered him $8 million less than the Rams did, who are now sitting in front of us, and we need wide receiver help. That's all I have to say.
Well, and I think we talk about that next week because, I just saw something about, the draft class for the Niners this year hasn't really done much.
Oh boy.
I think we could maybe save that one. If they end up losing the playoffs, we could just use it as our cry towel of how we need to fix things in the off season. But anyway, it's been great seeing you, catching up with you, and we're looking to do this next week too. So give us a listen and follow and all those other fun things you do online, and Kreuz, have a good weekend, and we'll talk next time. Take care, everybody.
See you guys.